Stefania, give us the latest on Eifert and Gronk. What's their situation?
Well, Eifert suffered a stinger. They call it a neck injury, but typically affects the neck and the shoulder. And no structural damage, but you would expect that on an MRI. You don't see nerve problems, but the player can feel them, whether it's pain or weakness, and that has to resolve before he can return to practice. Eifert not practicing this week, so we'll monitor it. And Rob Gronkowski, it looked scary at the time, but we often say that when guys are writhing and screaming, that may not be as serious as when they're totally quiet. So probably scary for Gronk, given it was the same knee that he had surgically reconstructed. But week to week with a bone bruise and a sprain, I have to believe the Patriots will play it cautious with him. So I'm not seeing them rush him back, especially if, as Field says, Scott Chandler ends up playing well for them in the meantime.
Yeah, so you got two players in Eifert and Gronk that we expect to be back at some point this season. Jimmy Graham is not coming back this season. If you had him in your roster, who are you replacing him with?
Well, I think you know, as Field said, you look internally. Luke Wilson's actually not a terrible option. He's a pretty good athlete. He's got better than, I think, advertised speed. I just don't know that they're an offense that's going to revolve what they're doing around Luke Wilson. So you're probably better off, if you own Jimmy Graham, to go look at a guy like Scott Chandler as a replacement. Maybe even look at a guy like Kyle Rudolph as a replacement, a guy who's had very big games before. So I think if you are, to Field's point earlier about you look internally first, I actually think there is some value for Luke Wilson, but you're better off going outside the Seahawks roster to find Graham's replacement. And as it relates to Eifert, we're at the time of year now where, there are more 4 o'clock games, right? I believe there's 4 o'clock games. So, you're dealing with 4 o'clock games, whether it's, the situation, whether it's, Amendola playing, there are more options for 4 o'clock games. So with Eifert, his situation, looking at, well, what would your reaction to that be? You're a little bit better off.
The trick with these tight end injuries is it's not just that these players have been exceptional, both Gronk and Tyler Eifert, but this is a position where if you owned one of them, you are holding the edge in your matchup week to week because there just aren't that many tight ends you can count on. Gronk might be 8 or 10 points better than the opposing tight end week in and week out. Same goes for Tyler Eifert.